Hello folks, my name is Huuran and today we will be going through the top 5 uncommon trinkets for Darkest Dungeon. Today I have with me my beautiful partner Damp
What's up?
and
I am beautiful. That is true. That's been confirmed.
and we've been discussing this before we've obviously started the recording for the video, and we're going to go through our trinkets. Afterwards we'll be doing what we believe would be the best buy from the uncommon items, which we'll get to. So to start us off, we have the heavy boots. Now these items are plus 40% move resist, plus 10% prot, and minus 2 speed. Now the minus 2 speed is a massive debuff, but not when you compare it to the 2 buffs you get. Now 40% move resist, not all that big of a deal. It does come into worth when you've got characters that push and pull. And this item is fantastic for characters like the Leper and the Man-at-Arms, which really struggle with getting back into position. 10% prot, you can't go wrong with. Prot is always a good, always a good stat to have. It just makes things so much easier. And after that, we're going to item number 4 with Damp.
So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the dark items and the value in them. So they're very situational, and we almost compiled them all together. But as we look at them, if you are doing as a way to farm gold where you're running dark dungeons early on, these are very valuable. I mean, if you look at the Dark Crown, for example, minus 25% stress damage if your torch is basically snuffed. And the virtue chance, I don't know that I would rely on that, but the minus 25% stress damage is really, really strong. And then you look at the Dark Bracer, it's almost you must take the Dark Bracer because of the amount of crit, which will offset a ton of stress damage. And then plus 5 dodge as well is really, really good. So you're going to probably be running almost in complete darkness the whole time, maybe situationally throwing a torch here or there. But as you look at that crit, that will offset a ton of stress for you. And then the dodge, obviously, it's not a ton of dodge, but it's enough to offset some damage, which also offsets stress as well. So that's what we feel the Dark Bracer and the Dark Crown are number 4.
It's worth noting with the Dark Bracer that the 2 positive effects occur at different light levels.
It's a
So
good point.
if you're struggling with stress and being hurt too much, you can keep the you can up the light to around the 50 area to keep your plus dodge and lose the crit. But obviously you don't want to go over that because you'll get the minus 10% damage. Right, next we have the Solar Bracer. Now we were going to put in the Solar Bracer and Solar Crown like we did with the dark items, but after looking at the Solar Crown we were less than impressed, especially compared to our rank 2 item, which I'll get to in a minute. Now, the Solar Brace's stats of plus crit and plus dodge pretty much mirror the Dark Braces, although the crit is slightly less. 9 times out of 10 you'll be having high torch anyway, unless we're doing the aforementioned dark runs. That being said, because you will have high light most of the time, the penalty for having low light with the Solar Bracer outweighs the penalties for the 2 dark items put together. The minus 2% crit and the 6 dodge is a huge problem if you let your torch drop below the 50 mark. Any input on that one, Dan?
No, I completely agree. I mean, again, the same thing, guys, is if, especially early on in the game, if you are struggling with trinkets, you don't have a ton of them, this one can carry you for a long, long time early in the game because most of us run torches above 75 to get the scout chance, to get the surprise effect, and to get the offset of the enemies having more damage and doing more crits to you, and it helps reduce your stress. So this is a really, really solid trinket for sure.
Right. Next, item number 2, the Calming Crystal. Now, this item has the same stress reduction as the solar item, but it also has 4%, not 4%, plus 4 dodge. This makes it one of the best items we've found at the uncommon level. It definitely dwarfs pretty much everything at the common level. And looking at some of the rarer trinkets as I've been looking through this for these lists, it definitely outshines quite a few of these. 15% stress damage reduction is huge. It is a massive money saver, and you can't go wrong with dodging. Not taking damage, once again, massive money saver.
The other thing I would note here is as we compare it to the Solar Crown. So the Solar Crown is minus 15% stress damage if torch above 75. This is minus 15% stress damage regardless of where the torch is. So you don't have to micromanage your torches like you would if you're doing, utilizing a solar item. And like who said, on top of that, you get the dodge additional. Really, really good early game, but still strong late game as well. And some of the champion level dungeons, like where you may incur more stress. It's a really, really good trinket. Really good trinket. So moving on to the top trinket, and they're the surgical gloves. So after they did this trinket pass, I kind of went through and looked through all my trinkets. And you guys who've seen a lot of my videos, you know I have a ton of them. And I came across this and I thought it was a typo at first. I'm like, wait, this can't be right. So this may get nerfed, as may this, especially after we put this out and we begin to tell the community about them. Because I don't think a lot of people know about these trinkets. But obviously the 5% crit to melee, 5 accuracy to melee. The move resist and debuff resists are minimal. I mean, it's not often that you have guys that will move you around. I mean, it's pretty situational. Now, debuffs is a little more general, and it's a little more of a nerf to the item, but still, the 5% crit is going to lead to a huge amount of stress reduction. The accuracy benefits almost everybody because that's a little bit of a crit buff as well. I mean, this, in my opinion, is probably one of the top 5 trinkets in the game. If not the top trinket in the game right now, like pound per pound, dollar per dollar. So,
Gold per gold.
Yep, gold per gold. Yeah, absolutely. It's phenomenal. So to look at my must buy, like if you're early on in the game, the surgical gloves are a no-brainer. And I really think you could make a strong case for the common crystal as well. The solar bracer, not necessarily, but these two, definitely the surgical gloves, you have to buy them when you see them. Regardless of your gold situation, you've got to buy them. And then the Calming Crystal, I think, as well, is really, really strong. What about you, Hoo?
I'm in 100% agreement then. I mean, like, I have had a massive break from the game, and when I was actively playing in the past, Calming Crystal just said minus 10% stress damage. And that's all it was. It is now so much better. Such a good early game trinket. I wouldn't go wild in having every character with one, but I would definitely consider putting giving one to my more vulnerable characters, mostly healers and frontline tanks.
I agree completely. So that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah. We will be having the links for both channels, myself and Damps, in the description, as well as links to the Trinket Guide, which was linked in the previous video, and both of our Twitter account thingies. I have no idea what they're called. But that will all be up in the description, so check that out below. And please subscribe. It will do a world of good to get these videos out, and it'll help me.
Thanks, guys. See you.